What's going on, Axie fam? Elijah here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be covering some recent circulating thoughts in the community, specifically around the state of Origins. So I was really happy to see that a couple days ago, Arctic, which is a huge Axie community member, decided to put out a poll asking whether people preferred Classic or Origins. In this poll, Origins got obliterated. I've never seen it lose in such a ratio to Classic. 67.8% voted for Classics. I did myself as well. Even though I voted for Classic, I want to point out this thread that I wrote yesterday. I won't read the whole thing. You can check it out. It's on my Twitter. But basically, I'm acknowledging that V2 had a lot of flaws as well. It was definitely more ironed out than Origins. You know, we all understand it was working properly. And I think that the reason that the majority voted for Classic is because Origins is terrible right now. Between all of the bugs and the issues, the balancing, basically the fact that it feels like we're starting over from scratch yet again, people are really fed up. So I mean, why not just vote for something that works? Even if it's not an ideal game, it's definitely a lot better than what we have right now with Origins. At least that's what the community is saying. So in a way here, I'm kind of defending Origins, but really most importantly, I'm calling out whoever's responsible for the development of this game. The ball has been dropped multiple times, and I want to make this video to highlight, the sentiment in the community and really point out that this is a strong point of stress for so many players. Whether you're a breeder or a casual player or a pro player or whatever the case may be, it's like we have to keep resetting and throwing away Axies and then waiting longer and then having bad updates that are inconsistent, that aren't working, that are heavily bugged. There's a lot of reasons to be frustrated. Ultimately, I'm just saying that whatever needs to get changed on the back end, I don't know. I'm not the one calling the shots, right? So I don't know who's in charge of what. But I know that there's a lot of people who are really sick of spending their time, their energy, and their money on something that isn't working. Let's head over to Mino, who decided to, kind of follow up on what I said in my thread, and he wanted to give his insights into it. I like getting another perspective from, a top player, also someone from a different country. So it's just kind of nice to see the spectrum of community members and what they have to say about this. Basically, the good and bad points of Origins, right? Good points is the effects are fancy, they look good. The craft elements are exciting. It's always nice when you hit something really sweet, like a powerful rune. Lots of events and competitions, and then more and more options for team building due to the runes and charm elements. Also the body parts, right? There's 6 body parts out there. Now the bad points, and this is really big, especially from Mino and his group of players from Japan, knowing how dedicated they were to V2, hearing his thoughts on the strategy I thought was really compelling. What he says is the skill cap has been lowered and there is no longer any gameplay between players. The quality of the game has gone down. So he's basing his thinking around what he thinks is the policy on Origins by Sky Mavis, which is making the game easy for new players. Since the game is less flexible, there are fewer people who play in situations where prize money is not involved. The process of practicing, improving, and winning is less in Origins. There is no sense of accomplishment. Therefore, all players play for the prize money. Now, this is brutally honest, especially this last paragraph, and it's a huge breath of fresh air for me to read, and I think for a lot of people to read who are supporting Mino here. I know there are a lot of community members who really resonate with this message. If we look at some final tweets and replies, we have Sweet Feet right here saying, "I no longer enjoy being part of an experiment that always results in a loss while we try to figure out how to make Origins better." And I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. This tweet got a lot of love. We have Mino following up by saying we are exhausted. We have Stark, a very valuable community member as well, adding on indeed. So it's pretty unanimous across the board. Many people are upset. Yeah, so what's the solution here? I mean, for one, bug issues like this should never happen again this far into it. We've had Origins out for a year. We hit this huge, ugly reset button. And I say ugly because of the way it was executed. There's so many bugs, the game's barely playable, or you get locked in the queue and you can't play. And then we also introduced a whole new set of cards and runes and charms. So, we're basically starting over from scratch. If we go through something like this again, I think there are a lot of people who are just going to step away because they are fed up, they are tired, they are exhausted, as you can see in the comments. I'm gonna give my take on a few things that I think are bad about the new, update within the game as far as mechanics. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. But pretty much when I've played lately, I feel like 400 starting HP is way too high. The game no longer has that blast of, energy gains from Nemo's, and then they've toned down Fury Form, which I think it very much needed on the B side of things. But 400 plus runes and charms is painfully slow. So that would be number one. Number two, I don't really see the huge benefit of energy burst, the mechanic. To me, it doesn't really feel like it offers that much. If anything, it just sort of like lags the game on, and then you do get to these higher level stages, but it doesn't really affect too much in terms of decision making. You just scale up, everyone scales up pretty slowly. Yeah, some classes are faster than others, such as Aqua's, but I would argue that the way it was before with the way Nemo's and Cottontails worked might have been even better. Yeah, I know those cards were massively overused, and I do think there's potential in building this progression toward like finishing moves such as Perch and Tiny Fan. I think there's some satisfaction in playing those, but from a skill perspective, it feels like it offers almost nothing to the game, which is again a huge disappointment considering all of the frustrations we had last season around in-game execution and gameplay. I mean, beyond that, I can't really say that much right now because I can't try out so many different things without running into tons of bugs and issues. So hopefully they fix that very quickly and we can move on. But so far, those are my two biggest complaints. If I have to put a third one in there, it's obviously lack of like interaction between players or outplay potential, because basically you just sequence off your cards and your opponent does the same thing, and kind of like whoever draws best is going to get the win. Or like as Mino said, whoever has the best Axie is just going to get the win. If anything right now, the thing that sets players apart is some more elements of being a pro, such as mental game, right? Like Theban, for instance. 1437's mindset is like that of an alien, right? When he focuses in on Origins, it's every detail, it's every moment, every match. And I think that that's one of the things that sets him apart, is that his constant dedication that bleeds over into making sure he finds the most perfect comp for the final stretch of the game, that he doesn't make those in-game mistakes, that he never gets into a negative state of mind. And so those are like meta skill sets. They're not like fundamental in-game skill sets, right? And so obviously I applaud him and I applaud everyone who does well in Origins, because it still takes a lot of effort to be at the very top. Everyone is putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this. It's not like a lack of effort. It's just, it's getting stale. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable when things are this slow and the changes are this bad. I do need to talk about the payout structure heading into Season 2. If we look at this chart real quickly, we can see there's a huge drop off in AXS rewards paid out to rank 1 as we go from Season 1 to Season 2. It's 3,375 AXS less than it was before, and 500 AXS less for rank 2. Then you can see in these regions here, top 50 to basically 200, they're all losing AXS as well. Meanwhile, the top 10 is getting boosted kind of nicely, rank 3 to 10. This is all a little weird, but in my opinion, there should be little to no drop off in these ranges. Specifically, like rank 1 taking such a huge hit makes no sense. This is not how any other competitive field works when you think about poker, when you think about other esports tournaments. And the problem is that they want to reward the top 40,000 players. I think that we have a really great thread here from Enfedero. I hope I said that name properly, but he goes into this in more detail, estimating that we have about a 100K daily active user player base. And if we do top 40,000, then that's 40% of the player base, which isn't rewarding effort at all. It is just rewarding people who show up and play. And there might be a better solution there, because sure, if you do show up, you play, and you end up in the top half of people who played, then what about this idea? A rare accessory or a common accessory, something very small, but we don't actually strip away these AXS rewards, which to be honest are doing very little in this region anyway. Let's say that you're pushing to get paid AXS because you want to be included in the top 40,000 payout. You're getting $4. basically the price of a common accessory, or you're getting $6 if you make it into the top 20,000. His proposal breakdown just makes a lot of sense. Huge competitive fields like this have always been top heavy. It's what makes the most sense when you're competing your ass off, investing tons of time, energy, and money into a particular game. Yeah, I want people to be rewarded for playing Axie. I want to spread the wealth for sure. But in a way where someone earns $4 and it strips away, a more reasonable payout structure, that just doesn't make any sense. So I hope that this video keeps the conversation going, gets the ideas stirring more, changes, if we need personnel adjustments, if we need more people to make sure that the game doesn't bug the hell out if we do an update, to make sure that the course is smoother going forward. I don't know, but I do know we're all upset. So hopefully Sky Mavis hears this message and we can move onward and upward. I do want to end with maybe a bit of good news. Some people are happy about this, some people aren't too happy. I know it might change some things for breeding and the Axies you buy and whatnot, what's going to be good along each stage. But essentially, we have a rare era, epic era, mystic era, and final era in the next season. So there will be rewards all the way throughout the season, highlighting different build types based on the runes and charms that are accessible. I like this a lot. It also gives room for the team to continue to update as needed, which at this early of the development and origins, I think maybe having a 60-day season where we locked off any adjustments might have actually hurt us and made it very painful to play season 1. I think we do need to be fluid, and it's going to be interesting to see what emerges as the best rare era build, epic era, mystic era. And obviously you can see here the bigger payouts are reserved for the end. At least the final era is 45% of the payout. They did make the epic era higher than when the mystic era begins, which I thought was kind of interesting. And you are going to get rewarded runes and charms along the way, and even mystic ones, which is something new. And I think that's super cool and going to make the game a lot more accessible and fun for people to compete at that higher level. So when the mystic era begins, for instance, everyone who played at least one game will receive a sealed Mystic Rune choice box. And then as the home stretch comes around, you get to choose a Mystic Charm as well. So you're going to be needing to study, make sure you're choosing wisely what to play. But I think this is very, very cool to see. I'm very happy to see this. And it's the type of thing that I do think we need to turn the ship around here, is to have more diversity throughout the whole season, to give people a reason to play, to get people excited each and every step of the way. I want to hear what you guys think. I really appreciate you all watching this video. Let's get vocal, but let's be constructive. Let's not just be, spewing negativity, but really think about what it is that you might be upset with and how we can positively correct it as a community. I shared a few of my thoughts in here, and yeah, can't wait for future content. I'll probably start next by looking at the rare era and maybe giving my thoughts on what I think will be strong heading into that. I love you guys. Catch you in the next video. Peace.